There comes a moment in every soul's journey where silence becomes too loud to ignore, where the weight of unspoken memories, buried shame, and unresolved pain begins to pull you backward, even as you try to step forward. You think you've moved on, you think because the years passed, so did the wounds, but time doesn't clean the past, it only hides it, and the truth is, what hasn't been healed still holds power over you. Your future is trying to rise, but your past is still gripping your ankles. Until you confront it, name it, and cleanse it, truly cleanse it, you will always feel like something is holding you back, like joy is just out of reach, like peace is something promised to others but never to you. This isn't about forgetting, it's about reclaiming your freedom, because until you clean your past, you will never be free to move forward. The past is not buried, it's stored. We like to believe the past is behind us, buried and forgotten. But the truth is, it's not gone, it's stored. Stored in the cracks of our memory, hidden in the tone of our voice, echoing in the silence between our thoughts. We carry it, not in our hands, but in our choices. You can smile, succeed, move cities, change your name, and start a new life. But if you've never faced the shadows of what you've survived, it still owns part of you. That argument you overreacted to, that fear of trusting someone again, that unexplained anger, or the deep, silent sadness you carry at night. That's not random, that's residue, that's your past speaking louder than your present. We keep trying to silence the past by drowning it in distractions, achievements, and noise. But the past does not need your permission to show up. It will come uninvited, especially when you're weakest, when you're still, when life slows down and the mask slips. It's in those quiet moments that you realize what you didn't clean up has never really left you. It just learned how to hide. The unfinished pain becomes patterns. The unspoken trauma becomes triggers. The forgotten betrayal becomes a filter through which you see the world. And soon your future begins to look just like your past, because you're reacting to life instead of living it. You can't move forward when you're still tied to a history you refuse to unpack. There's no freedom in denial, only delay. The past, if not healed, doesn't just stay behind you. It gets inside you. It becomes a script, and you start living by it without even realizing. That's how we get stuck in cycles, choosing the same people, repeating the same lessons, sabotaging opportunities we prayed for. Not because we're weak, but because our past still has authority. But hear this clearly, your story is not over, and your history does not get to be the author of your destiny, not unless you let it. You were never meant to live your whole life trying to outrun something that was meant to be confronted. You want peace? Go back. Look at what still hurts, not to live there, but to understand it, to name it, to take its power away. What's buried alive does not die, it grows in the dark. So don't just move on, heal. Don't just forget, transform, because if you don't clean the past will contaminate everything you try to build. And you deserve more than that. You deserve to be free, not from your memories, but from the weight they've placed on your spirit. That freedom begins not when you forget your past, but when you face it, forgive it, and finally, let it go. What you ignore, you inherit. There is a quiet truth that many never want to face. What you do not heal, you pass on. You think if you ignore it long enough, it will fade, but the opposite happens. What you bury becomes the foundation of your future, whether you realize it or not. You walk through life thinking you've moved on, but deep inside, you're still carrying the echo of every betrayal, every wound, every word that cut too deep. And the more you pretend you're unaffected, the more it shows up in your behavior. Subtle, sharp, disguised. It leaks into how you speak to people. It echoes in your fears, your hesitation to trust, your tendency to overreact or withdraw. And soon, what was done to you becomes something you start doing to others, or worse, something you begin doing to yourself. That's how pain passes from generation to generation, not because people are cruel, but because they never took the time to clean what was contaminating their soul. This is not just about trauma, it's about ownership. It's about realizing that what you ignore, you inherit. And what you inherit, you eventually become if you're not brave enough to break the cycle. You must face the truth that silence is not strength. It's just an agreement to carry what should have been released. Every suppressed emotion becomes a wound that never scabs over. It keeps bleeding through your life in ways you don't see until it's too late, until you've hurt someone who didn't deserve it, until you've abandoned something that could have healed you, until you've sabotaged your own peace out of an old fear. This is how people stay stuck in lives that feel too small for their spirit, because they never paused long enough to clean the room where the pain was hiding. You want to evolve. Then you have to be willing to go back, not to suffer all over again, but to understand, to bring light into the places you've avoided. Because understanding is the first act of healing. When you understand where the pain came from, when you sit with it, name it, grieve it, release it, you take back your power. You stop repeating what you never meant to become. You stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. And for the first time, your life becomes yours. Not a reaction, not a defense mechanism, not a chain of inherited dysfunction, but a conscious, healed, authentic existence. You weren't born to carry weight that isn't yours. You were born to be free, but freedom requires truth, and truth requires the courage to face what you once ignored. If you don't clean what hurt you, you'll eventually become it, but if you do, you become the one who breaks the pattern. You become the one who changes everything. Stop romanticizing survival. You survived. That in itself is a testament to your strength. But let me say something many are too afraid to admit. You were never meant to stay in survival mode forever. Yet so many people do. They confuse endurance with healing. They think because they made it through the storm, they're whole. But surviving is not the same as living. Surviving is what you did when you had no choice. You learned to shut down emotion to avoid pain. You built walls instead of boundaries. You trusted no one, not because they weren't trustworthy, but because once someone broke something in you, and you told yourself, never again. And you survived with that mindset. But here's the truth. That armor you wore during the battle has now become the weight that keeps you from flying. The danger is gone, but you're still flinching at every loud sound, still bracing for betrayal, still preparing for the worst. Because survival taught you how to expect pain, not peace. And now, peace feels foreign. Love feels unsafe. Rest feels like laziness. Joy feels suspicious. You see, healing asks you to lay down what once saved you, and that's terrifying, because survival gave you identity, a role, a story. I'm the strong one, I never cry, I always bounce back. But that identity is costing you your softness, your vulnerability, your ability to be fully present in life. And let's be honest, strength without softness isn't strength. It's fear dressed in armor. You can't connect deeply with anyone when you're still emotionally holding a weapon behind your back just in case. That's not living, that's a life on pause. You're breathing, working, showing up, but not really feeling. You numb joy to avoid pain. You control everything to avoid chaos. You stay distant to avoid loss. But real healing, real freedom, is messy. It asks you to cry when the tears come, to sit with your pain without masking it, to admit that being strong all the time has made you tired. It asks you to stop glorifying the version of yourself that only knows how to survive, because that version was never meant to stay. It was only meant to carry you through, not to define you. And yes, letting go of that version feels like weakness, but it's not. It's wisdom, it's growth. It's finally saying, I deserve more than just making it through. You deserve to breathe without bracing, to love without fearing, to sleep without replaying everything, to live, not just exist. And that only begins when you stop romanticizing your ability to survive and start honoring your right to heal. You were strong for so long, but now it's time to be whole. Cleansing doesn't mean forgetting. It means releasing. There's a lie we've been told for too long, that to move forward we must forget. That healing means pretending it never happened, never hurt, never broke us. But that's not healing. That's denial disguised as strength. True healing doesn't ask you to forget. It asks you to remember without reliving, to look back without crumbling. Cleansing your past is not about erasing the chapters that hurt. It's about rewriting what they mean to you. Because if you don't release the meaning, the weight, the shame you attached to what happened, it will continue to live inside you like a quiet echo, shaping your every thought, your every relationship, your every step forward. This isn't about forgetting. It's about releasing. Releasing the grip it has on your self-worth. Releasing the belief that what happened to you is all you are. Releasing the fear that if you let go of the pain, you'll lose part of your identity. But hear this, your pain is not your personality. Your wounds are not your legacy. You're allowed to be more than the worst thing that ever happened to you. You're allowed to be more than someone who endured. You're allowed to thrive, to laugh, to live with both arms open again. But cleansing means doing the work no one can see, sitting with the memory, feeling every part of it, and saying, yes, this hurt me, but it no longer defines me. It means telling the truth to yourself first. Not sugar-coated, not minimized, just the raw, honest truth. Because only when truth is spoken can healing begin. You don't get to skip that part. There's no shortcut through healing, but there is a power that comes after. The power of peace. Peace that no longer depends on the past behaving differently. Peace that doesn't require apologies you never received or closure you never got. Peace that comes from you deciding to take your power back, moment by moment, breath by breath. It's not forgetting the pain, it's releasing the control it had over your emotions, your reactions, your self-image. The world may never know what you had to clean up inside, but you will know, and that quiet knowing, that silent freedom will change everything, because when the past no longer owns you, it can no longer stop you. You're not letting go because you're weak. You're letting go because you're ready. You're ready to stop carrying what was never meant to come with you into the next chapter. You're ready to stop bleeding in places that deserve your light. And most of all, you're ready to live, not in the shadow of what was, but in the bright, brave truth of who you're becoming. There is no forward without forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. Many believe it means letting someone off the hook, acting like the pain never happened, pretending that betrayal didn't leave a scar. But forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you, it's about your future. Because the longer you hold on to bitterness, the more it becomes a poison that seeps into every corner of your life. And here's the truth that not everyone wants to face. You cannot walk into freedom while dragging chains of resentment behind you. You can try, you can build, achieve, smile in public, but inside you're still anchored to that moment, that person, that wound. You're still fighting wars in your head that no one else can see, and that invisible war, it drains your energy, steals your peace, and clouds your ability to see what's ahead. Forgiveness is not approval, it's not saying what you did was okay. It's saying what you did will no longer control me. That's the difference. Forgiveness is not forgetting, it's releasing, not for their sake, but for your own sanity. Because the pain might not be your fault, but the healing is your responsibility. And healing requires that you loosen your grip on the past so you can reach for what's next. Some of the people you need to forgive will never say sorry. Some will never change. Some don't even think they hurt you. But if you wait for them to fix it before you let go, you give them power they don't deserve. You tie your peace to their awareness, their guilt, their growth. And what if they never grow? What if they never admit it? Will you spend your whole life waiting to feel free? Or will you decide that your peace matters more than your anger? Because at some point you must choose. Do I want revenge or do I want freedom? You can't have both. Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the highest form of wisdom. It's saying, I choose to be bigger than this moment. I choose to heal even when the wound was deep. I choose to move forward even if they never follow. And maybe the person you need to forgive is yourself for the things you allowed, for the signs you ignored, for the version of you that didn't know better. That version was surviving, but now you're ready to live, and life doesn't wait for those who stay stuck in yesterday's storms. It moves on, and so must you. Let the wound teach you, but don't let it keep you. Forgive, not to erase the pain, but to reclaim your power from it, because until you forgive, you are still tied to what hurt you. But once you do, you're free, and that freedom, that quiet, sacred freedom, is where your future finally begins.